A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity.
So, 2 weeks ago, I get this message on a WhatsApp chat group saying that one of my friends has caught COVID 19 and he's not doing too well. I didn't think much of it. It's COVID 19, it's like a cold. A couple days later, I messaged a different friend and he tells me, hey, have you heard about what's happening with this guy? And I'm like, yeah, I heard he got COVID 19. And he says, man, he's dying. They're about to intubate him. They're about to put him on a ventilator. His lung has collapsed. His liver is gone. His blood oxygen saturation or something like that isn't good. This guy's a doctor, so he was talking all that medical jargon. Yeah, the prognosis is bad. The doctors are just doing what they can to stop from intubating him, but it's not looking good at all. He's not going to make it. You got to understand that this friend is someone I went to school with, 18, 19 years ago. We were part of a band together for a whole year. Every single day I went to his house and he would make lunch for us. He was the lead guitarist. We'd practice there every single day for about a year. I was shocked. And I'll tell you the whole story and what's happened in the last 1.5 weeks, but first I'll tell you about this habit of getting in touch with friends and what that's been about. So back in November 2020, I set some goals for myself. These goals fell into categories of to have goals, to do goals, and to be goals. One of those to be goals was to be a better friend. And to me, all that meant was stay in touch better, keep in touch better with my friends, people from the past who once had a very strong connection, but who had gradually lost touch with each other. Not because we didn't care about each other, not because we disliked each other, but simply because life took over. New priorities, new things to vie for our attention each and every day, and living in different parts of the world just meant that staying in touch wasn't on the top of the agenda for either of us. Little did I know when I set that goal for myself what that would lead to in just a couple of months. Having set the goal, the next thing was figuring out how to accomplish it. And my new philosophy is basically, all you gotta do is think about what can I do today, what can I do tomorrow to get closer to that goal. And my first step was really simple. Get a book. A book to write down the names of all the people I wanted to stay in touch with. Lo and behold, the very next day, this came in the mail. A gift from my financial advisor. It's a planner, and it had space to write down the names of friends that I wanted to stay in touch with. It worked out beautifully. The next day, all I did was go through my Facebook, go through my WhatsApp, and write name by name down. I started actually with my memory, just thinking of all the people whom I knew and loved and cared about over time. But I filled that up using Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and looking at who I'd been in touch with over the last 2 to 3 years, maybe even if it was just a casual happy birthday message or just an out of the blue message. And that gave me a couple hundred names right there, about 200 names right there. The next step was to each and every day get in touch with 2 to 3 people. The first couple of days, actually, it was the people who I was closest to. I picked up the phone and I called them. It was fantastic. It just felt so great. There was such a positive energy about reaching out to people who I hadn't heard from in quite a while. Just touching base, saying hi. It was awesome. Gradually, as I went further down the list of 200 though, some of these people didn't seem like people who I should pick up the phone and call right away. We weren't as close, and it had been so long that it would be a little strange if I just called them out of the blue. So instead with them, I dropped them a WhatsApp message, dropped them a Facebook message, just to say hi, just to reconnect, just to send good vibes their way. And a lot of these turned into back and forth conversations, and it was really nice to rekindle the relationship, reconnect with people out of the blue. The biggest challenge with this though was that after a while, each and every day, I'd have 10, 15, 20 replies to get back in touch with. And I've got busy days, and it's a little difficult if you start replying and then they start replying, and now you have this ongoing conversation with 15, 20 people. So instead, I started to batch the activity, which basically means you reserve all of those activities for a particular day, a particular time, and then you hit it all out. Now it sounds quite mechanical, but it still felt really good staying in touch with people. And the nice thing about Facebook and WhatsApp is it allows you to message someone, allows them to message you back, and then stop and start again a couple of days later, and there's nothing wrong with that. Better than the alternative of not staying in touch at all. Over the last 2.5 months, this has become a habit. It feels great. I've reconnected with several people, and it was during that process that I reconnected with my friend who told me about the other guy who was in hospital dying. What happened next? Well, I reached out to another friend who was really close to both of us. He'd been in the same class in school 16, 17 years ago. He'd been in the same band with us, and he was now in Canada. I'm here in Singapore. We're on opposite sides of the world. He's one of the guys I'd gotten in touch with in the past 2 months and reconnected with. We'd never really lost touch, but we really reconnected and got close again, like old friends always do. When I told him the news, he was shell-shocked. He didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. The only thing I knew to do was pray. I'd already prayed, and I was gonna continue praying and asking God for a miracle, because it seemed like that was gonna be the only answer in this situation. We got off the phone, and next thing I knew, he'd reached out to 60, 70 different people, all in our batch, who'd all not been in touch for years, and got them on this Facebook group. Next thing, everybody's informed of our friend's critical situation, and he suggests, hey, why don't we do a prayer call? We'll all just gather at the same time and have a call. And when we were trying to figure out times, I was like, you know what, we're not going to figure out a time that's going to work for everyone. Let's do it now, because the situation is critical. Within a couple of hours, we had a few people who were on a Zoom call, and it's people from different faiths, different backgrounds. Sri Lanka, where we're all from, is a diverse country in terms of religious backgrounds. There's Buddhism, there's Islam, there's Muslims, there's Hindus, there's Christians, Catholics. There's a variety of religions and a variety of religious beliefs. And what we did was we all first gathered, we talked about our friend, and then we just prayed in silence. And then one person from each religious background led a prayer. And it was just so heartfelt, where we all just prayed, and I prayed and I thanked God for his power, and I prayed and asked God for a miracle. The next day, we didn't hear of much improvement, but then the miracles started to manifest. Gradually, we started hearing better and better news. Right now, as I make this video, our friend is stable. He's still in hospital, but he's stable, he's improving, he's eating solid food on his own. He's only on oxygen for short times of the day. He's able to breathe several other hours of the day on his own. And the doctors have said he's going to make a full recovery, but the doctors have also said that it is clinically highly improbable what happened. And that is what I call a miracle. I don't know how prayer works. I don't know how miracles work. All I know is they do, and God has his power, his way of doing things that is beyond our understanding. So all I can say is thanks to God, and we still meet every single night, my time, morning, some people's time, but every night we still meet on those Zoom calls, and we continue to pray until our friend is discharged from hospital. Through all this, it was more and more firmly planted in my mind, and you hear about this quite frequently here and there, but it's different when you experience it. And I began to realize more and more just how a lot of the things we live for, we pursue, we chase are just, not real, not really that important. Sometimes they're, just distractions. And sometimes the most simple things are the most important things. But this was one of those moments. These calls were some of those calls where you begin to see that, and you began to realize it. Because when it comes to hard times, real friends are going to stick by you. They're going to pray for you and bring you out of hard times. When you feel like giving up, as our friend did, it's their words, their encouragement that's going to keep you going. When you feel like it's the end, it's them who's gonna say, no, this is a marathon, there's more to run. When you don't have the power anymore, sometimes it's your friends who are gonna lift you up and carry you across that finish line. And so my habit was just to stay in touch. But it's taken on new meaning and new purpose now. It's to truly forge meaningful relationships and look for ways to serve people, to love people. The other thing that happened through these calls was people began to reconnect. People began to feel a sense of joy and positivity in their lives. We're living in COVID times where everyone is socially distanced. And here, all of a sudden, one of the darkest moments in our friends' lives was bringing us all together and shedding light and love into our lives and into our situations. On these calls, people have opened up about depressions, about anxieties that they're facing, and are able to share with friends who they haven't been in touch with for so long and free themselves of some of that weight. We're able to pray for more things than the one friend who was critical at death's door. I thank God for that miracle, and I know it's done. We're just seeing the final stages of its manifestation. But there was so much more beauty that came from the ashes. And that's what my God does anyway, brings beauty from ashes. You know what, guys? This video is quite different from anything I thought I would put out on this channel, but you know what? Sometimes life is a little tricky, is a little difficult. It's easier when you have faith, and it's easier when you trust that there's a bigger purpose and that there's a God who's all powerful, and when He comes through and gives you what you ask for, it's even better. But let's stay on this journey and subscribe, follow through, because there's going to be a lot more content that we'll put out there, which is real, just like this, which is inspirational. I find that this situation really built me up. And if you like this video, comment. Feel free to share about your struggles. Maybe if you've had any such experiences, your revelations, what it means to you to be a friend. And see you on next week's video. God bless.